questions?
Who confirmed your nomination?
Mr. Gronkowski and the rest of the Democratic Party.
When?
About 2 minutes ago. I want to give thanks to Mr. Gronkowski, the Democratic Party, and my challengers, Veronica Darwin and Vernon Cruz, who are also going to be helping me in my bid for the 152nd seat.
In what capacity?
How are they going to be helping me? Mostly behind the scenes. Campaigning, fundraising, etc. Yes, sir.
You're an advocate for education, campaign finance, and marijuana laws. How do you plan? What are your plans to attack those issues?
What are my plans? All three?
Yes.
All three are.
We'll start with education.
I would have to speak with my fellow, or potentially fellow constituents and people in the House of Representatives on the state level. I'm not elected yet. There's a big race to run, but in terms of education, campaign finance, and marijuana, those are my positions. I'm pro all three of those. There's a discrepancy in the state in terms of achievement gap. It's the largest in the country. Connecticut is last among 50 states in achievement gap. That's definitely an issue that has to be addressed. In terms of campaign finance, there's a citizens funding program here in Connecticut. It's very interesting if you guys want to do some research on that. I'll be using that money for my campaign. It's definitely, there's too much money flowing into Hartford and too much money flowing into Washington. I'd like to change that. And obviously, I am an advocate because that is my vocation. With the latest law that was passed October 1st of this year in the state, that'll open up a few opportunities in terms of my business. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm very pro-business, and obviously something like this will help my business, the latest law that was passed. Hopefully that answers your question, sir. We'll all be ripping down these videos after this exercise. I'm out of character right there. I'm back in character, though. Other questions? Ma'am?
In terms of campaign finance, will you be addressing the scandal that recently happened with Christopher Duncan, or are you moving forward?
Can you rephrase the question? I'm not really sure.
No.
I think you're asking two different questions there.
Okay. In terms of campaign finance, are you are you worried about what happened with Christopher Duncan?
I believe what happened with Mr. Donovan was completely different. Had nothing to do with campaign finance. It was more so of what a elected lawmaker does in office. I believe that was a separate incident altogether, separate issue. That was more toward Mr. Donovan's personal financial well-being, more so than campaign finance. Does that answer the question? Somebody want to come call? No? Any other questions?
How do you see medical marijuana in, how can you put that, in economic terms? Do you think that's positive for our economy, and is that something you're going to work on if you were elected?
Yeah, there's about a dozen states in this country that have pushed through medical marijuana laws. There's actually, as you guys may very well know, at least 2 states that have passed legislation in terms of recreational marijuana. Is it positive for the economy? Yeah, I think that's pro-business. It's positive for the economy. In terms of medicinal, it's going to take time because any conclusive data to corroborate job growth or any type of economic growth connected to my industry. All I know is that there's been a dozen states and it's all been positive. It's also been somewhat of a boon to industry in those states. Ma'am?
Like, have you been hearing from the people of Connecticut? Like, have they been coming to you with concerns, or would you like work with them with that?
Yeah, my constituency in the 152nd, House District, my ears, I'm always open. They're very big on, getting this economy kick-started again, with jobs, with business growth, education. Those are some very hot-button issues. The state budget, which is currently facing a $1 billion deficit, is a big concern. So those top three, jobs, which is a national concern, and a global concern, education, which has always been a hot-button issue in the state, given the achievement gap, and the budget. All three of those are equally entwined, more so, obviously, the job and the economy and the budget than education, even though education has is a big point of emphasis, not only for me, but for the state. But in terms of my constituency, absolutely. Door's always open. We're having a party later on if you guys want to stop by. If you're a card carrying, yes. I comply with the law in my business. Sir?
What is your biggest fear about this candidacy?
Biggest fear? In terms of?
The challenges that you're facing in terms of when running against Sandra Adams?
Yeah, Sandra Adams is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a fantastic race. What are some of my fears? I'm just approaching this with an open mind. Now,
Have you already started anything to help the economy or the state? You got started.
Personally?
Yeah.
As a small business owner, absolutely. The fact that I was just handed this nomination about 10 minutes ago, I have some plans in the work, but nothing concrete yet. I have to win this election before I can actively try to pass anything through legislature into law. But I do have some plans.
What do you think is going to be challenging in general or most challenging?
The most challenging is in terms of the race.
In terms of the race and in terms of the details.
Yeah, in terms of the race, obviously, Sandra has some more experience than me in the political realm. I've always worked behind the scenes in the Democratic Party here in the state, but Sandra in particular has a pretty well-oiled machine. I've worked with some of her colleagues and some of the people that are helping her with her candidacy, and they're fantastic people. So that's going to be the biggest challenge, my opponent, in terms of the state. Where obviously I'm a Democrat, we're a very pro-democratic state. I'm going to have to reach across the aisle in order to get work done here. And that's going to be a big challenge, as it is with any state in the union, reaching across the aisle. We've run into some of the logjam in Washington and in Hartford, and hopefully I can do a small part in eradicating that.
You mentioned that Sandra has more experience in
take this challenge on. But that, saying that, Sandra has been elected to her town council, has served in that capacity very well for 2 years. I'd like to think that my experience trumps her in that. Ma'am?
Could you just let us know a bit about your educational background?
My educational background?
Yeah.
Yeah, I graduated from a small school in upstate New York, St. John Fisher. Smaller than my high school, actually. Received my master's from Trinity here in the state and a JD from Yale. Go Eli's.
So you've played a behind-the-scenes role for most of your political career. So what are the skills that you learned doing that, and how's that going to translate into a position, a leadership position?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So you spent most of your role in politics behind the scenes. So in a leadership position, what skills can you translate over? What qualities do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. With every candidate I campaigned with, I learned what my constituency in particular wanted. Biggest attribute you can have is, in terms of politics, is being a good listener. And the fact that I have 20 years of listening to a constituency that is very, very vocal about their position in the state and what they want. I've seen mothers who I've known since they were 8 years old, who are now who were just kids when I first met them. They're now very vocal in terms of education, small business, family, very pro-family. We're working with the Working Families Party as well, which is a very viable third party here in the state.
What party is that?
The Working Families. So I've seen generation after generation in the 152nd District, how they've grown from children to men and women, how men and women have grown into grandparents. So I've been working about 3 to 4 generations now. Sir.
How did Mr. Gronkowski tell you that you got the nomination?
I shook my hand, said congratulations, and he said, "Are you ready?" I said yes, and then he just opened the door. So I didn't have time to sweat.
Will we be talking to Chairman Gronkowski at all?
Excuse me?
Will we be able to talk to Chairman Gronkowski?
No, he actually had his kids' bitty basketball game to coach. So he apologizes. You can reach him later on after 5 o'clock today. But there may be a prepared statement. He is a fantastic human being, but his family comes first. And when it comes to bitty basketball, he's best coach out there. Go Wildcats. Anything else? Well, I thank you for your time today. Any other questions, feel free to contact Mr. Gronkowski after 5 o'clock. He'll be serving as my campaign manager as well. And have a fantastic day.